All right, I hope y'all are ready for this. Show of hands, how many people have never seen me speak before? Oh, y'all are in for it. So they already talked about me a bit. I do like to point out that I have a weekly video series called Local Search Tuesdays, except for you here it would be Wednesday because of the whole date difference thing from the States. But it's typically short 3 to 5 minute clips about specific tactics for local SEO. Throughout the presentation, I will have some links in the bottom corner. There'll be blue links like that link to specific videos from my series that dig into that particular topic in a little bit more detail. That allows me to squeeze in even more information into today's presentation. So if you see the little blue link in a little video thumbnail, that's a video that talks about that thing. You can write it down, take a picture, whatnot. And also, I am lucky enough to be a popular presenter. I spoke at 25 conferences last year all over the world. That was actually cutting it down. I did 32 the year before that. But a lot of the conferences that I do are in the States, and typically you don't really have these digital marketing experts up on stage. Typically, it's some sales guy that's just trying to pitch his product or service and sell stuff. And I see people nodding and laughing because you've all seen the same thing. And they're really not that good at speaking on stage because it's not really their job. And typically, there's some podium on the stage, right? And they stand behind the podium, and they're locked behind the podium and talk really fast like this in a monotone voice, and they're really hard to understand, blah, 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 blah. It's awful, right? And even worse, most of the time, there is no design element at all in their slides. So the background of the slide is just plain white. And they use black Arial font. And each slide is just packed with bullet points. And all they do is sit there and they read bullet points for the entire presentation. That's no fun, right? Hopefully you guys don't think that's fun, because if that's what you're hoping to see, you're going to be really disappointed. But you may not know, it's actually a scientifically proven fact that bullet points kill kittens. So today we're going to keep all the kittens safe. We have no bullet points in the presentation. Then also, she mentioned the whole movie quote thing. I was actually a film major in college. I've got over 1,000 movies in my iTunes library. I have both of my arms sleeved with movie portrait tattoos, 23 different movies tattooed on my body so far, mostly stuff from the 70s and 80s except for Anchorman. And then my whole right leg is tattoos of the Goonies, and I start next month tattooing horror movie stuff on my left leg. So I'm really obsessed with movies. So every time I do a presentation, there's a movie theme. Today's theme is superhero movies. So we have 101 different superhero movie references today, including at least one superhero movie for every year in the last 50 years. And most of you in the room are probably too young to have seen a lot of these, so there is attribution to the side. So not only will you learn some really kick-ass stuff about local SEO today, you'll have a cool list of movies to go watch later. Who's excited? And by the way, how many people in here, show of hands, are Marvel fans? Okay, just to point out to all you Marvel nerds, at the beginning, you'll see in a second, I have kind of a little jokey intro where there's no text on the slides. Once I get past that, it's every Marvel movie in MCU timeline order, not release date order. So it's really gloriously nerdy. Are we ready? Is everybody excited? So why the long face? Are you spending too much time looking up at the competition that ranks higher in local search results? It's kind of frustrating, right? You don't have to have a huge brain to know what to do when it comes to local SEO, even though sometimes it's really confusing and it might seem like it's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors or a bunch of magic. It's really not. So today I'm here to help. I've got a lot of hot tips to share with you today. Come on, that should get a bigger laugh. Like his head's on fire, I said hot tips. Come on, y'all. I'm going to show you how to crush the competition so that you can kick ass in local search results. So the important thing to understand is that there's not just one algorithm in Google. Google will assess the intent of what that person is searching for and choose the right algorithm to return the results. And the local algorithm is different. It includes additional signals that you have to optimize for that you don't have to worry about if you're doing regular SEO. And that means you have to completely change the way that you think and the way that you work when you're working with a business that needs to show up in a particular local area. So if you're working with a business that only needs to show up in the Sydney market, you're doing SEO differently than a business that needs to show up in all of Australia. So how do you know if you need local SEO? It's pretty simple. If the business does face-to-face business with customers, either at a physical brick-and-mortar location or face-to-face business at the customer's location, like a plumber or an electrician, then you need to be doing local SEO. But Google's algorithm has evolved over the last few years. COVID has shifted consumer behavior permanently, and there are some queries that are pure e-com intent in the past that now have mixed intent. So even if you work on e-com sites or affiliate sites, sometimes you still need to do local SEO. So you need to do some searches, and I'm not talking about using rank tracking software, I'm talking about doing manual searches, see if some of your important money keyword phrases show a map pack. If those phrases show a map pack, that means Google says, I'm not quite sure whether this search has local intent or not. And if it shows the map pack, you need to understand that you need to be doing local SEO for those search queries if you want to compete. And the most important thing I can tell you to pay attention to is a study called the Local Search Ranking Factor Study. And the thought process behind it is this. If we were going to have the 5 best local SEOs in the world sitting on stage, or really the 4 best and me, because like, come on, right? If you put the 5 best SEOs in the world on this stage as a panel exercise, and you were to say, let's grab somebody's site at random out of the crowd and give it to them, and we're going to have all of them optimize the site live here on stage really quick. They each get 2 minutes to optimize that site or that homepage of that website. They'd all do it differently, but they'd all touch the same elements on the page because they know what Google's local algorithm is looking at. So that's the thought process here. They take the top 40-ish experts across the globe that really know local SEO, that research this stuff all the time, have a lot of clients that get really good results, and they send out a very in-depth survey. I'm one of the people in this survey. I have been for over a decade. This year's survey took probably about 2.5 to 3 hours for me to fill out. It is very in-depth. But then they aggregate all of the answers, and then you get a pretty good idea of the signals that matter, and it breaks it down into 2 different things. The summary post, there's obviously a long post, but the summary post gives you a pie chart that shows you the signals that influence search visibility in the local area if you want to show up in the map pack or in Google Maps, because Google Maps is not run by the traditional algorithm, it's run by the local algorithm. Then you get another pie chart that shows you the factors that influence the results below the map pack, the organic results, but they're not regular organic, they're still localized because it's run through that local search algorithm. It's literally your Bible. It tells you this is the stuff you need to do if you want to show up well in search results. Now, those numbers that or the pie charts that I just showed you, that was the 2023 version, but it was released at the end of March of last year, so that is the most current version. We're just about to do this year's version. So this is the most current information out there. Now, if you've all been to conferences, is this anyone's first conference today? Anybody? A couple of you. Okay, you're probably already overwhelmed, right? And the rest of you, you go to conferences, you get super pumped, you're like, man, this stuff's awesome. I'm gonna go back to work, I'm gonna change so much stuff, it's gonna be amazing. And then you get back to work and you've got pages and pages of notes and you're like, holy shit, man, where do I start? And then you gotta go talk to your boss or you gotta go talk to your clients and say, look, we've been doing stuff this way for a while, but I went to this conference and now we gotta do stuff this way because it's so much better, and you're just overwhelmed. So I like to boil things down to simple concepts to A, help you remember the things that are important, and B, give you tools where you can go back and talk to your boss or talk to your clients and explain why you need to shift and why you need to change. And this is a really easy way to explain to clients how local SEO works. And I shot this at what is considered to be the #1 best pizza place in the entire United States. I tried to do the thing in the commercials where they like pull the pizza and the cheese stretches out, but there's so much cheese it wouldn't stop, so we had to like do the shot over again. It was crazy. But the concept is this. If you're sitting in your office and you search for just 2 words, pizza delivery, you get a list of pizza spots right there by your office. Makes sense, right? But then you can go home and try the same search at home with the same 2 words, pizza delivery, and you get different search results. You didn't use a city, you didn't use a neighborhood, you didn't include a phrase like near me or nearby, and you still got localized results. Because the local algorithm takes into account the searcher's physical location in the real world, whether you ask for it or not. And your location and the proximity of the search results will influence what you see as search results, which is why you can't do rank tracking when it comes to local SEO, because there is no proximity factor. So this is the easiest way to explain to clients or bosses how the local algorithm works differently. And it's not just optimizing keywords and places. Like Jess said earlier, we got to stop thinking that way. Do what's best for the user. That's what Google rewards you for. Think about user experience. Think about conversion optimization. It is infinitely easier to get more conversions out of the traffic that you already have than to get more traffic to get more conversions. So remember that stuff. And we know, too, that if people are looking for whatever product or service you're selling, does anybody ever go, I need to buy this widget, and they go to Google and they do a search, and the very first thing they see, they click on and they buy from it? Hell no, they don't. They do research, and it's a local business, so they're going to look at reviews. They're going to look at photos. The more expensive your product or service skews, the more research people are going to do. I'm going to use a lot of car dealership examples because for like 15 years of my career, I worked at agencies that only did SEO for car dealers. And even now where we do everything, we still have a lot of car dealer clients because I'm really well known in the automotive space in SEO in the United States. So with cars, Google's latest information that they released about a year and 2 or 3 months ago said that the average new car buyer in the United States conducts 27 separate sessions on average before they get far enough down the funnel to submit a lead or show up at the dealership. So even if you rank number 1, people are still going to see the competition's websites. So you've got to have a better experience on your site. This isn't about keywords, y'all. This is about having a better website experience so people remember you and they want to come back. You've got to give them a reason to convert, and that doesn't mean give them a reason to convert right now. Use your content to explain why you are the best solution. When they're ready to buy, they need to come buy from you. Because if you have the same bullshit content on your site as everybody else in town, why is anybody going to buy from you? You say the same crap on your site that everybody else does. It doesn't make sense. You also need to make sure that your content proves that you're amazing. Don't just talk about the product or service that you sell. Talk about you and why you're a better solution, why they should buy from you. And I'm not talking about we treat our customers like family because every website in the world says that stupid bullshit on it. You got to talk about why you're truly the best solution to solve the problem that those potential customers have. Not just let's write another blog post about oil changes, y'all. You also need to make sure that it's truly about your business. Because there's other competition in the area that does the same stuff that you do. What's unique about you? And talk about the local area so people understand you are a part of the local community. You are a local option. And there's a really easy way to test this. I love doing this test. You take the homepage content or the About Us page content or really any product or service page, but it's really effective on the homepage. You're going to change 2 things in the copy on the homepage. The business name, every time it appears, and the city that the business is in, every time it appears. So if we had a business here in Sydney, actual mailing address of Sydney, not one of the suburbs, could you then change the name of that business to another business name and change Sydney to Perth and go put that website content from the homepage on the homepage of a similar business in Perth? Would that content still work? If it would, it's not really about your business or your local area. It is a very, very simple test to perform. That's how you can really tell, are you providing a unique perspective, like Jess talked about in the first talk of the day. It's not the same bullshit that everybody else has. It's a unique perspective that gives more value to the customer. That's what's important. Another really important test is read your content out loud. And I'm not talking about think through it in your head. I'm talking about you grab another person and you have them sit in front of you and you read it to them out loud. Because we all have marketing blinders on. We see those keywords when we're reading in our head, and we're like, oh, yeah, we're going to rank. But when you read it out loud, you catch those things that don't sound conversational, and everything on the website should sound like something that you would say face-to-face to a customer that just walked in the front door, or a customer on the phone. You want a cool campfire story? Do you even know what that phrase is? Do you use that phrase here, like campfire story? Like you gather around the campfire, tell a story? You want a cool campfire story? I'm like Mr. Anecdote. You guys are really quiet. Yes or no? I could skip it if you don't want a funny story. Okay, so I was speaking at a conference in Vegas years ago, and this guy saw me, and he came up to me at the conference. He's like, hey, and I always use, a lot of the examples that I use when I speak at automotive conferences in the US is Ford and Dallas, because Ford in Dallas is the densest Ford market in the entire world. There are 20 Ford dealerships all within about a 5-minute drive of each other. They sell more Fords in North Texas every year than the rest of the world combined. Texas is crazy about Fords. So this guy was like, hey, I'm actually a Ford dealer in Dallas. We'd love to work with you. And I said, okay. And to this day, I still kick my own ass that I didn't take a screen capture or a copy of this guy's content because he ended up not working with us, so we had no reason to do it. But I shit you not. We get back, and I go look at his website to prepare for the call that we were going to have, and this is what his content sounded like. If you want to buy a Ford pickup in Dallas, come on down to our Ford pickup headquarters in downtown Dallas, where we give you the best deal on a Ford pickup of anybody in Dallas that sells Ford pickups. So when you're ready to buy your next Ford pickup, come to our Ford pickup headquarters in downtown Dallas. We'll give you the best deal on a Ford pickup of anybody that sells pickups in Dallas. The agency that was working for them was like, guess what, guys? You are going to rank for Ford pickups in Dallas. But every human being, potential customer, would go to their website and go, what the fuck is wrong with these guys? You don't catch that stuff if you don't read it out loud. So trust me, this is one of the best content tests that you can perform, and AI can't do this shit for you. The most important thing you can remember from everything I'm going to talk about today is this. Again, boiling down to simple concepts. If you want to show us a search result, when a potential customer types in a search query to Google, you need a dedicated page about that singular concept on your website. But it doesn't have to be the best page on the internet. It just needs to be the best page in the local area. You need to have the best answer to the question in the local area beyond everything else that is answering that same question, which means you're probably going to answer some of the subsequent questions as well. This is where you got to kind of break that mold and stop thinking about old SEO. Again, like Jess said, if you just had a singular concept, that's it. But guess what? Talk about some of the other questions that they would have once they get that initial answer. Sure, it's on the same page, and maybe it's not quite related, but that's a better user experience. Forget the SEO bullshit you've been taught for years. What's good for your customers? That's how you write awesome content. Then, once you've gotten that awesome content written, you've got to optimize for the search engine. You write for humans, optimize for Google. But we're optimizing for the local algorithm, so you're going to optimize differently. Now, 6 months from now, what I'm about to tell you could be total bullshit, because we don't really know what's going to happen with Gemini and AI and how all of that works. So far, from most of the tests that we've done, all of the beta testing that Google is doing doesn't really affect the local algorithm yet. I say yet, it might. But right now, the local algorithm still works the same either way. The ChatGPT type interfaces still just serve up the same map packs. So I'm going to run you through how to optimize the different elements on the page that's different than what you traditionally do. So the most important element on the page to the local algorithm is the title tag. Does everybody in here understand what that is? Anybody not know what a title tag is? Because sometimes I have to explain this at conferences. It's crazy. Not SEO conferences. But so the title tag should have that important keyword phrase. Don't put your fucking business name in the title tag. Google changed how search results look last year, and it now puts the business name above your blue link. You don't need it there for branding. So don't waste valuable optimization space. You want that keyword phrase and that location phrase. And throughout all of these elements, when I say keyword and location, it's the same keyword and same location every time. You're not going to rank in 5 different cities because you put 5 cities in your title tag. It doesn't work that way. You're optimizing for your actual location. Second most important element, and I guess you guys might kind of laugh at my accent here, because how do you say it? You say H? Yeah, we say H.
We say H.
Okay, well, yeah, everybody else was saying H on the thing. I'm like, man, I'm going to sound weird when I get up and say this. But the H1 heading, please, only one fucking H1 on the page. Yeah, can you have more? Sure, but you're doing it wrong. Google is pattern detection. You want the best possible pattern if you want to show up. The H1 should be more conversational, have the same keyword phrase, same location phrase. Obviously, you need it in the page content as well, but we already talked about how you got to write the best answer in the local area that answers subsequent questions. It's all about you and why you're awesome, and all about the local area, so you really shouldn't have to optimize anything here. It should just be good to go. Alt text for images, also important. If you'd have seen me talk about this 10 years ago, I would have said, Google can't tell what's in images, so alt text is part of the embed code, and it describes what's in the image. Now Google can tell you exactly what's in the images. It's super scary how accurate that stuff is, but alt text is still part of the algorithm. And it's something that most of today's marketers don't do anything with. Not that it's a massive signal, but it gives you a little bit of an edge. Does anyone in here work on client sites or have their own sites in-house that are in the United States? Anybody? Okay, those of you that work with US-based sites, ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, compliance law in the United States says that every website has to be accessible to anyone with any level of ability. So if you have a site in the United States with a traditional image embed and it doesn't have alt text, you can actually be sued by a visually impaired person because they use a browser that is a screen reader, and that browser can't tell what's in the image, and you can get sued. Car dealerships have been sued by people that are blind and can't drive a car because they don't have accessible websites. But it doesn't matter. So for those of you that serve the US or have sites that serve the US, this is also important to avoid getting sued. For your internal pages, have that same keyword phrase and location phrase in the URL. It's not a massive signal to Google, but it's a friendlier URL for people to look at. And every time you have those words there, it's subliminally a little bit more reinforcement. You also need it in the meta description. Even though the meta description has no play in the algorithm because it populates those sentences under your blue link when you show as a search result, this is conversion optimization, not search optimization. If you have those phrases in the visible meta description under your link, you are more likely to get click-throughs to the website. You've got to have a blog, and a lot of people don't blog nowadays because they're like, oh, blogs are dumb bullshit that SEOs do just for SEO. No, you got to post to a blog. Now, I'm not talking like I just got into a whole thing on Twitter. People like to like poke the bear on Twitter and try to like start shit with me because I speak at all these conferences, and they're like, well, bro, if I'm a dry cleaner, I don't need to get on there every week and talk about why dry cleaning is important. And I'm like, dude, I never said that. Did you hear me say a dry cleaner needs to post a blog every week? No. Regularly might mean once a quarter. It might mean once a month. It might mean once a day. It depends on that vertical and what you have to talk about. And if you're creating content for the reasons of helping your customers understand the journey through the funnel so that they can make the best decision to solve the problem they're looking to solve, that is not bullshit content. That's helpful content. If you're churning out blog posts because you heard somebody say, oh, you should blog, and it needs to be 1,832 words if it wants to rank #1, and blah, 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 yeah, that's stupid. But there's a huge difference between the kind of content that goes in the main section of your site and the kind of content that goes on your blog. Main website content is meant to be bottom of funnel content. It shows up in search results and gets you conversions. But remember, the more expensive your product or service is, the more people are going to do research before they convert. What are they going to research? They're not going to land on that bottom of funnel page. You need those informative pages, those discovery pages. You don't want to junk up your website architecture by trying to shove all of that in the main menu of your site. So that's the stuff that belongs on your blog. And you have to educate if you're in-house. How many people are in-house? I didn't ask that at the beginning. So most people are like agency or freelance. Hands for that. Okay, most of you. Okay, so in-house, you got to educate your boss. The rest of you, you got to educate your clients. Yeah, we are going to give you content for your blog, and we do not expect to get leads from this. And clients will freak the fuck out about this. They're like, why are you putting stuff on my site that's not going to make me sell more stuff? Because, bro, it is going to help you sell more stuff. It's just not going to help you sell more stuff today. It's going to help you sell more stuff tomorrow or next week or next month. So that's how you separate that content out. We like to equate it to a billboard. Like hardly anybody does billboards anymore, right? But clients and bosses understand the concept of a billboard. You don't put a billboard up on the side of the highway expecting that everybody that drives by and sees the billboard is going to buy from you. You put it up for brand awareness and brand building. That's what blog content is. You're trying to target those mid to upper funnel customers because the sooner you get eyeballs on your website and your content, if you're doing it the right way, the more likely it is that that customer is going to come back and convert with you later. Another thing that you can do that's really cool, and a lot of people shit all over this lately, and they're like, oh, it doesn't work this way anymore, but it totally does. And it really works outside of the United States. Make your blog a local destination. Share content that has jack squat to do with your business. Content about the local area, something like, hey, our sales team loves to go out and grab a burger every Friday. These are the 5 best burger spots by the water in Sydney. Has nothing to do with your business. But it's pre-funnel content. It's stuff that gets eyeballs on your website before people are looking to buy what you're selling. And it builds local relevancy. And it attracts links. Because once you get that blog post up, you can go do outreach to those 5 burger spots and be like, bro, we said you're the best place in Sydney to get a burger. You're probably going to get a link back for it. That's also the kind of content that you can get links from in publications. But most importantly, it's helpful content about the local area. You establish yourself as a part of the local community and being involved in the local community. It's incredibly powerful and effective. If you'd like some ideas of how to do this, guess what? I got a video about it. So you can go watch this video. It's got 10 different concepts that you can use as a springboard to come up with your own ideas for localized content that, again, has nothing to do with the business, but really helps when it comes to local SEO. Another big concept, everybody wants to try to show up further away from their physical location. But if someone is looking for widget seller in Sydney and they specifically put Sydney in there, they're explicitly telling Google that they want someone that's in Sydney. And unless there's just no competition, you're not going to show up if you're not actually with a Sydney mailing address. If you're in the suburbs, too bad. So the concept here, own your backyard before you try to show up in other cities. which means before I try to show up, I don't know any of the suburbs here, but before I try to show up in whichever suburb, if I'm actually located in Sydney, or if I'm in the suburb and I want to show up in Sydney proper, you got to own your backyard first. You have to have a solid enough SEO foundation that you are doing well in the search results where you're located before you try to start showing up elsewhere. Because that location and proximity factor is so huge to the algorithm. If you don't have a good enough optimization strategy to show up where you do have that location, there's absolutely no way you're going to show up in other cities, because you have to out SEO the guys in those cities, and they have a physical location there. So own your backyard first before you try to expand. Once you own your backyard, if it's a more rural area or something that's just less competition. I also am the host of a twice-a-month podcast, and the example that we always use there is Greg's underwater basket weaving studio. Like, I'd probably be the only underwater basket weaving studio in Sydney, so like, guess what? I could probably show up nationwide because there's just not anybody else that does that really specific thing. So in a situation like that, just no competition or very rural, a couple of city pages would be all you'd need to do. This video walks you through how to do that. If it is denser competition or a metro area like Sydney, a city page isn't going to be enough. You're going to have to go with the concept called local content silos. It's a lot more advanced, takes a lot more time. I'm actually the guy that named this. The concept had been around, but I was the first person to really write about it publicly on Search Engine Land way back in like 2015, I think. Maybe 2014. God, I'm getting old. But back then, it was super awesome, man. It would work like this in like 2 months. Now, when people see me talk about this at conferences and they come work with us, we let them know, look, this will work, but this is something you do in tandem with targeting your own area. This is something that in today's world, at least in the US or in Canada, this takes anywhere from 14 to 18 months to get results. Down here, you could probably get results in 5 or 6 months, but it does work. So let's talk about links a little bit too. Links work differently when it comes to the local algorithm. We don't give a shit about domain authority, and you shouldn't give a shit about domain authority anyway, because domain authority, let's face it, is a bullshit metric that Moz invented years ago, and it's completely fucked up the link metrics for everybody, right? And you're laughing because you're like, bro, this guy's like preaching to the choir up here. It's true. Link authority is bullshit, but it's especially bullshit in local, because we're going to talk about it in a second. What you really want to get is links from other businesses in the local area. The best link that you can get in local SEO is a link from a church. But guess what? Churches don't do SEO. Where's Tim? Is Tim still here? If I ran a church through Ahrefs, it's going to be like a 0 score, right? Most of them? He's shrugging. He doesn't know. He probably doesn't look at churches because they're too small. But I can tell you, because I do this research all the time. You go Ahrefs, you go Majestic, you go Moz, you go anybody. SEMrush, although I wouldn't really do link research through them. But you put any of these link tools to the test and put in a church, and they're going to be like, oh, this thing has no authority, run far, you don't want to link from this site, when actually it's the best link you can get. So don't pay attention to the authority scores. Also, don't pay attention to nofollow. It has been proven time and time again, and we have proven it as recently as 4 months ago, that the local algorithm does not give a shit if it's a nofollow link. It works differently. My team doesn't even pay attention to it. And it's funny because, like, periodically, like, my video next week will be a recording of me doing this that I did in my office. And my team always has to watch my videos every week. And they always, like, laugh. And they're like, it's so funny that you still talk about don't pay attention to nofollow. Because they, like, literally, it's not even on their radar. But for so many people, it's a drastic kind of rewiring of your brain to not pay attention to this stuff. All you need to worry about is the link from a local business in the same general vicinity? The easiest way to get those links is to just get involved in the local community. Participate in local events, sponsor local events, do things in the community. Really easy to get local links. But sometimes the smaller businesses don't have the capacity to do that. So I've got a video here. A lot of times I'll like run through a bunch of concepts, but I'm trying to squeeze in a lot today. And I've got 16 minutes left, so we'll talk faster anyway. Go watch this. This runs through a lot of different strategies and tactics that you can use to find out the right way to build some really powerful local links that will really move the needle when it comes to the local algorithm. Moving on to reviews. Reviews are ridiculously important. In fact, if you look at the local search ranking factor study over the last 4 years running, every year that reviews slice of the pie gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Google is putting more and more value on customer reviews, both in Google and on other platforms. They're really, really important. In fact, looking at the map pack, I showed you there's 2 pie charts, one for the map pack, one for organic. On the map pack chart, the second most influential thing is reviews. So you got to pay attention to this stuff. And I'm not talking about that testimonials page on your website. That thing's a piece of shit. Nobody cares. And every time I say this, people are like, bro, but I get so much traffic to my testimonials page. And I'm like, cool. Let's go into your Google Analytics and let's pop on an IP address filter and cut out all of your internal team's traffic that's showing people how amazing your testimonials are. And guess what? You don't get any fucking traffic to the page because customers don't care. Customers want to read honest, unbiased reviews on third-party sites. So that testimonials page is worthless. So you got to be proactive. You got to ask people for a review because it's not human nature to leave a review when you're happy. I live in Dallas, or outside of Dallas. We're like 5 hours from the coast. I'm not going to go drive 5 hours to get a fish taco, so anywhere that I go that I'm by the ocean, I always get fish tacos. I love fish tacos. I've already had fish every night since last Sunday I've had fish. But if I was to go get a fish taco, and I took a bite and there was a Band-Aid in the fish taco, you can be pretty damn sure I'm going to leave a bad review for that place. But if it's the best fish taco I've ever had in my life, I'm probably not leaving a review. But my wife is with me on this trip because, like, hey, we're coming to Australia. Why would she not come with me? And if my wife and I were having dinner tonight, and I took a bite, and I'm like, holy shit, babe, this is the best fucking fish taco I've had in my life. And the waiter or waitress just happened to walk by when I said that, and the waiter's like, whoa, really? And I'm like, yo, bro, this is the best fish taco I've had in my life, bar none. And he goes, oh, man, it'd be really cool if you'd leave us a review on Google. At that point, I feel obligated to do it. That's why you have to ask every customer. So ask everybody for a review, and make it easy for customers to leave that review. Most people don't know where to go to leave a review. So that video walks you through how to do stuff. You need to make sure you answer every review. A lot of people only answer the positives. A lot of other people only answer the negatives. Some people just pick and choose. Answer everything because potential customers will look to see which reviews got answered by the business. Businesses that answer every single review have a higher chance of getting that conversion than the businesses that ignore one side or the other. Watch this video too. I have a video editor now, but I used to edit my own videos because I was a film major. I know how to do this shit. And this one I was really proud of because I talked about how when you get a bad review, if you're answering for yourself, you got to like give yourself some time to calm down so that you're not like super freaked out when you're answering the review. So then I made it where my skin turns red and smoke comes out of my ear and it does the like cheesy cartoon whistle from Bugs Bunny. So go watch that and validate my video editing, please. But remember, when you're responding to a bad review, that response is not for the person that left the review. It's for every potential customer in the future that wants to see how you handled a bad situation. So you've got to answer that review correctly. And the number of reviews you have doesn't actually matter. This is big local SEO myth. A lot of people are like, well, if you have more reviews, you're going to rank. Google actually doesn't care. Google just cares that you have more than the competition. So make sure that you tread that delicate knife's edge when you're getting new reviews. You don't want to blow too far past the competition. I was talking to a car dealership. We had the biggest U.S. Automotive conference at the beginning of February. It's about 60,000 people as all the new car dealers went to Las Vegas. And I was talking to a guy, and I said, look, your problem is that you've got 6,800 reviews on Google. And they're all legitimate. They're good. But in that market, the next closest dealership only had 2,000. And the next closest guy below that had 800. Most of the dealerships in town had 500 to 800 reviews. This guy has 6,800. And he's like, well, that means everybody's going to come buy from us because they see how awesome we are. Nah. Human nature, people look at that and go, oh, those are fake reviews. Like, how does that guy have so many more than everybody else? So it actually hurts you if you get too many more. So be careful with that acquisition pace. Here's some new research. This is really new, cool shit, and outside of the US, hardly anybody has heard of this. You know when you first go to your Google Business Profile and you go to look at the reviews, it has that default sort where it shows the first 10 reviews. Before you click, I want the newest reviews, or I want the best reviews, or I want the worst reviews. That's the default sort I'm talking about. If a review has a photo uploaded along with the review, it's stickier and it stays in that default top 10 for a longer period of time. If a review has more text, it stays in the default sort for a longer period of time. Unfortunately, bad reviews tend to be significantly longer, which means they're a little stickier. And then you can also give a thumbs up to a review and say that it's helpful. If a review has 2 or more thumbs up, it stays in the top 10 for a longer period of time. That was the research that one company did, and they just stopped there. And I'm like, let's try some really cool shit with this, y'all. Does anybody in here see where I'm going with this? If you get a bad review that shows in that default top 10, it's extremely damaging to the business because anyone that goes to read the reviews, when you click reviews, you see that bad review. You can bury it immediately. Reach out to a customer that recently left an awesome 5-star review. Ask them to add a little more context to their story so there's more text. Ask them to also upload a photo along with it. And then let you know when it's done. Once they let you know it's done, have a couple of people on staff go give a thumbs up to that, and boom, that thing jumps right to the top of the default sort. You do that with 3 or 4 reviews, boom, boom, boom. You bump that bad review out of visibility and nobody sees it. You could do this in 1 day. You could do this in like a couple of hours if people respond quickly enough. How awesome do you look to your client if this happens and you're like, no problem, man, give me a couple hours, it'll be gone. That client will work with you for freaking ever after that. It's amazing. Finishing up with your Google Business Profile. It is the homepage of your website, not your website. This is the first impression that potential customers get of your business. Whenever they look for you by business name or whenever they find you in map pack results or in the map pack with some generic term. Also, properly optimizing your business profile allows you to show more often in those coveted map pack slots. So make sure you fill out everything that you can possibly fill out, except for the areas served field. That's completely ignored by the algorithm. All that is for is what we call a service business, like a plumber or an electrician. In that case, you're typically operating out of your home, so you don't have your address displayed because you're going to customers. That field just draws a little red outline of the area where you're willing to drive to do business with customers. But it doesn't influence ranking. And if you have your physical storefront and your address shows, this does absolutely nothing. So don't fill that out, but fill out everything else. Make sure you add UTM tracking to your website links. Due to privacy concerns, a lot of mobile traffic doesn't pass referral information to Google Analytics. So that organic traffic is classified as direct traffic in Google Analytics. And most people have been taught that direct means people typed in your URL, used a bookmark. That's bullshit. Direct traffic is Google Analytics going, I don't have referral information, so I'm just going to drop it in this bucket. We've added UTM tracking to website links and Google Business Profiles for businesses and overnight seen a 40% lift in organic traffic. Not because we did magical SEO, but because 40% of their organic traffic was misclassified as direct. And you're doing SEO, you're doing marketing, you want credit for the wins. So make sure you have the right data in Google Analytics and do this. And the landing page that your business profile points to. For most businesses, that's your home page. If it's a multi-location business with a single website, that's the location page for each location. Make sure that that landing page that the website button points to is optimized for your most important money-making keyword and the city that you're optimizing for. That's incredibly important. Make sure you have the correct hours of operations listed. I know it sounds boneheaded, but you'd be surprised how many businesses get it wrong. Make sure you upload high-quality photos because customers can upload photos to your business profile. But the algorithm prefers professionally shot, high-resolution photos. So upload high-quality photos. Make sure you choose the correct categories. In fact, the #1 most influential thing in this year's local search ranking factor study is the primary category. The first category that you choose is the most influential thing that affects how you show up in search results. So be strategic. It's not always what you think it should be. Watch this video, because again, I'm trying to squeeze in stuff, but this is really, really powerful stuff. Can make a massive difference on how you're showing up. There are pre-populated services. There's a section where you list services. There are pre-populated ones, but you could type in your own. These have a huge influence in how you're going to show up. So make sure you populate all of the services in your Google Business Profile. And Google Business Profile support really sucks. Big surprise, right? It's gotten worse and worse over the years. It's all outsourced. They literally read from a script, so I can call in or chat or email and say, look, I don't know if you know me, but like I do local SEO. You're going to tell me try A, B, C, and D. I've already tried those. It doesn't work. Please help me. And they'll be like, well, sir, have you tried A? Yeah, bro, I've tried that. Next, you're going to tell me to do this. I've already done it. Can we skip the script? They're like, well, sir, have you tried B? It's awful. So don't go there. There is a community profile or community forum for Google Business Profiles, not staffed by Google, but staffed by volunteers. Go there. Create a new forum thread. The volunteers will help you. Once volunteers have done things consistently well, they get invited into what's called the Product Expert Program. So they'll have a little badge on their profile. If you get an answer from someone that's a product expert, you know that person knows their shit. Is anybody tweeting or anything right now? Can you guys keep this quiet and not share this publicly? Okay, once you're in the program, it's okay, you can keep videoing though. Once you're in the program and you continue to answer stuff well, you start getting escalated in level. Once you get to gold level, you sign an NDA with Google, and you have weekly calls with Google. I'm a platinum level product expert on the forum. There's only about 15 or 16 of us in the world. So I have a weekly call with Google, and I have the ability, everybody at gold level or above, has the ability to escalate a thread to the Google Business Profile team and skip support to get problems fixed. So hint, hint, go do this, then pop me a message, be like, bro, help me out. There's a new reinstatement process for suspensions that has been rolled out worldwide at the end of last year and beginning of this year. It is super scary. Please watch this video. Google is very suspension happy right now, trying to fight all the spam listings out there. The really scary thing about the new reinstatement process, if you get suspended for any reason, which right now the running joke is if you breathe on your keyboard, you're going to get suspended. If you get suspended and you start this process, there is a 60-minute timer of doom that starts. Once you start the process, you have 1 hour to get all the required documentation and photos and videos sent into Google. If you don't do it within that 1 hour, you're locked out forever and you never get your listing back. Yeah, I see jaws dropping. It's super fucked up, y'all, and it's really scary because most people that do this don't have an agency or an expert that knows this, and they're not going to have that stuff handy, and they're going to screw themselves. So please go watch that last video. It's super important. Don't forget the conversion-focused elements in your business profile that don't affect ranking but affect conversions, like Google Posts. Google Posts are awesome. I did a Whiteboard Friday for Moz a couple of years ago. This is 13.5 minutes of densely packed information where I talk faster than this probably, and I talk about how to succeed with Google Posts. The most important thing, though, isn't the content of the post, like everyone else online will tell you. The most important thing is optimizing the thumbnail because Google will automatically crop the image to a smaller version of the image, which you can't control the crop, and it only shows the first few lines of what you wrote. If that thumbnail isn't compelling, nobody's going to click on it, and it won't matter what the hell you wrote. So you got to optimize the thumbnail. But you can't control the crop, so a lot of times half of the important shit in the photo gets cropped out. So to make things easier, we created a Photoshop template. You can download it for free here. No paywall, y'all. Download the template at this link. It looks like this. Anything in the white grid is safe and will appear in the thumbnail. The rest of the image appears once they click the whole thing. You also need to pay attention to the questions and answers widget that's in your Google Business Profile. It allows anyone to ask you a question, and any random a-hole can answer that question for you. It's super scary. The general public thinks that it's a chat widget, but it's actually a community discussion widget, which means questions can receive multiple answers. And the answer that has the most thumbs up is the answer that's displayed as the primary answer, and then a user has to click, I want to see other answers to see more answers. So you need to keep an eye on your questions and answer section and make sure that your business owner answers are always upvoted to appear as the primary answer to the question. You can even upload your own questions. Nobody's going to go to an FAQ page on your site and read through 50 questions to see if their question is there and maybe has an answer. They want immediate answers in today's world. And nobody's really going to read through those 50 questions on your business profile either, but you want to upload them and you want to answer them. Because the really cool way that Google built this, you know how Google will auto-complete a search query as you type it in? If someone's in the questions and answers widget and they're typing something in, not only will Google auto-complete the question, if a similar question has already been answered, as they're typing the question, Google supplies an answer. So it's a faster answer than what they would get talking to a human or talking to an AI chatbot. It's an amazing pre-site experience that will get you more conversions. So make sure you do that. Also, really quickly at the end, I got 2 minutes left. I'm actually going to finish on time. We have a really cool thing that I call the local SEO scoring matrix that we use at conferences and for demos with potential clients. It's basically a mini local SEO audit. It looks at the 4 areas that influence your visibility and search results. That's the content on your site and how it's optimized, the links pointed at your website, the reviews that you have on Google, and for us, it's Yelp, but outside of the US, you want to pay attention to whatever Apple Maps is pulling reviews from. In the US, it's always Yelp. For y'all, it might be TripAdvisor or Foursquare or something else like that. And it also looks at your Google Business Profile. Now, it scores on tactics, not on strategy. Because if it was too much on the strategy side, people could argue it if they take it back to their current SEO partner and they could be like, oh, they don't know you, ignore their strategy, ours is better. But we purposefully keep it on very basic tactics because if you're not using the right tactics, your strategy doesn't matter, and it helps to be more helpful and show them areas where they can improve. And this was a huge game changer. When we started using this on all of our demo calls with potential clients, just doing this alone and changing nothing else more than doubled our close rate on demo calls. So the areas are then weighted to approximate their importance. You get a score anywhere from 0 to 100 points. The highest we've ever seen is an 83.6. It's effectively impossible to get 100 points. But if you're using correct SEO tactics, you should have somewhere in the upper 60s to mid 80s. The highest non-client score, because that was a client, the highest non-client score we've ever seen in 2 years of doing this was a 65. Some of the things will actually deduct points if you're doing something that's egregiously bad that we know will hurt your visibility. The lowest score you've ever seen was a negative 71.5. And this guy was paying $4,000 a month US for SEO. It was really scary. So the average score that we see is only 18 out of 100. I thought I would share this with you. Would you like to take this home and use it for yourself? Okay, this is a simple spreadsheet. Everything is formatted as a question with a drop down, and it will automatically do the scores for you. The generic matrix will work on any local business, but we also have versions for specific verticals if we specialize in verticals. So I'm giving you both. You could check out the auto dealer one to see what we customize for that particular vertical, so you could see how to customize it for your own potential clients. It's really great at pointing out obvious opportunities. It makes it look like you did a ton of prep work before a call. And it's a really great guide for your team for what to do when that client comes to work with you. Thank you so much for sitting through that crazy fire hose of it. I'm not done yet. Well, I'm actually done according to that. But thanks for sitting through the crazy fire hose. Hopefully now you won't be down and depressed when it comes to local SEO because I gave you so many hot tips. Not the same joke, because this is Ghostwriter 2. You'll no longer be the underdog in search results, and everyone will be super happy. Thank you so much. That's my email address. I have an open email policy. I will always answer questions, so all you have to do ever in the future, even if it's years from now, is say, hey, look, bro, I was at Sydney SEO. Can you help me out? Also, you want to get this. I don't know if they're giving you the slides, but you should get the slides because at the end there's a list of all the movies by order of release date. Thank you.